What's good, people? Ah, we're a little late today. Welcome to the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We got a special show today. I am just waiting for my man, the Chocolate Boy Wonder Pete Rock, to check in. I believe he's having some difficulties, but whenever he checks in, we will be good to go. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks everybody on the check-in. There's a lot of comments. I'm trying to go back and catch everybody. What up to my man Napoleon, Pat S. Let me go all the way back. Chad World LLC was good. Maddie Cakes Muhammad was good. Gregory Nettis was good. All the regulars in the building. Big Bat, what's up? JT, what's good? Regulars, Haitian Space Program, what up? Imperial, the JC, Imperial J, the MC, what's good? Charles 13X, let's see. Gregory Nettis, Drake is the worst. You know, I got a lot of comments in my comment section about people saying that I was defending Drake. I was not defending Drake, y'all, last week. I was just saying that I believe that Drake could have made music in the 90s. That's it. GF Worrell was good. Spook Ram 4Q was good. Let me see. Pat S. I shouted you out. I'm trying to find some comments. Alexander Divine, what's good? Shout out to my man Stus Designs, who hooked me up with this logo right here. Thank you very much. I'm gonna let that rock for a while. Spook Round 4Q says, I actually like Pete Rock's remixes, I guess, more than the originals, like Shut 'Em Down. That's one of Pete Rock's greatest remixes, and I want to talk to him about it whenever he checks in. I just spoke to him literally 5 minutes ago. So he must be having some technical difficulties, but we're going to wait for Pete to catch up. Let's see. Gary's Garage, what's good, Kenny? Philly in the building. Shout out to Philly. I always love Philly. I always say Philly had one of the dopest hip-hop. It was one of the dopest hip-hop towns in history, for BDP, of course. Alexander Divine, 805 in the building. Where is 805? Buffalo in the building, James Brown. We got a lot of people on the check-in. We're just waiting, y'all, for Pete Rock to come into the chat. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let me see. Let me scroll down a little bit and make sure I catch everybody because we got a little bit of time here. Yo, KP, what up? Can you ask Pete? This is a good question. This is one I always want. Danielle the Don Freeman. Yo, KP, what up? Can you ask Pete, will he consider doing a whole album with KRS? That would be and would have been dope. I wonder why some of those things never happened. I wonder why KRS and Pete Rock never happened. These are all good questions that I would like to ask him whenever he clicks on, y'all. Let me see this. MMA Crossfire, Pete Rock, what do you remember about from the Arsenio Hall, his last episode of performing alongside Steel Smooth, KRS, and the Rap All-Stars? Yeah, that was dope. I think that was the very last. Was that the very last Arsenio show when they all came through? And I think Pete Rock was on the beat. That was a classic episode, y'all. Let's see. And oh, shout to everybody who's checking out the Knick game. I know everybody in New York. If you're in New York or Indiana right now, it is real hot. It's real hot in Indiana too. Shout out to the Indiana Fever. Um, Basketball is real hot in Indiana, but of course, us New Yorkers, we're going with New York all the way. Uh, Gregory Netta said, meanwhile, can they try to holler at Pam Grier for that Foxy Brown? Yeah, how great would it be to get Pam Grier on this show? If you guys like, this show is mostly about hip hop, but if you guys want to like branch out, I'll try to get. I mean, it's a matter of just asking people do they want to come on. But I know a few actors and people that's outside of hip hop. See if they want to come on the show, and that would be if I could get Pam. Pam Grier on this show would be crazy. For those of you that's just checking in, we are still waiting. It's 8:09. We are still waiting for Pete Rock to check in. I don't know if he's having technical difficulties. Obviously, matter of fact, I am going to text him right now and see what the deal is. I'm about to text. I just texted him right now. See what the deal is. I just spoke to him literally 5 minutes before the show is about to start. So something must have happened. Hopefully not, though. Let me scroll down. Sugar Daddy Williams, what up? Corey Flood, what up? Rod Woodman, greetings from Toronto. Peace, Toronto. Robbie the Danger, what's good? Haven't seen you in a while. I see H. Bippy is on here too. What's good? Rosmel, what's good? Let me scroll down a little bit. Let me scroll all the way down. It's an interesting question. The question is, hey, DJ Kenny Parker, whatever happened to Levi 167? I do believe that he was one of the MCs that was down with Scott LaRock and KRS-ONE before they were Boogie Down Productions. I think I met Jerry Levi a couple of times, but I have not seen Jerry Levi since probably 87, since like Criminal Minded was out. I have no idea what's up with that brother. The Rockwell Radio Show says, peace, had to pull up for this one for sure. We are still waiting on Pete Rock. I just texted him. He must be having some technical difficulties because he is not in the chat as of yet. So we're waiting for Pete Rock to check in, and when he does, we will start. I figured I'd come on here and just get it popping anyway with you guys, because we do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have no format on this channel, so we just be talking about hip hop and about whatever you guys want to talk about. And we got more guests. The guests, I'm lining up some real special ones, y'all. And this Pete Rock one should be really good if we can get him on here at this point. But I got some real interesting ones lined up, y'all. Y'all gonna be surprised with some of the people that I have spoken to. FU2, what's good in the building? Emma Brown, what's up? It's not often we get some hip hop ladies in the building. What's up, y'all? A nod to DJ Kenny Parker. Shout out to you, Emma Brown. This is interesting. KP, who's winning between Drake and K Dot? I'm not really following it like that, but based on Twitter, I would have to say that K Dot is the winner of whatever this is. And his song, I do believe Not Like Us, is it called? Is the #1 song in America this week. #1 on the Hot 100. That's gigantic for a song that has no video, no nothing, just people streaming. So this is probably the greatest thing, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to K Dot's career. Let's see. Ice cold beverage in the building. Peace and blessings, KP. Haven't seen you in a minute. Napoleon says, but where my remix though? Yeah, we got to. I mean, we'll talk about it. Or we'll talk about it off the thing. Steve 1989 says, House of Pain Jump Around remix was another galaxy. Yeah, that was crazy too. For those of you that just checked in, we are still waiting for Pete Rock to come into the stream. I just spoke to him a little while ago. Everything was all set. And then he must be having some technical difficulties. I just texted him, and I haven't seen a response back yet. So I hope everything is good with Pete Rock. DJ Platform 204 says, hey, Kenny, ever met Mr. Magic? R.I.P. Yes, I met Mr. Magic years after the BDP beef. Literally years. I met him in like 93, 94, and he was mad cool. I mean, he was just like, like that was years ago. And he was like, he treated me with nothing but respect. And for those that don't know the story, Mr. Magic is really the root of the BDP versus Juice Crew beef. And for those that don't have the book, pick up the book. My brother's name is Kenny. I go through the whole origin story of BDP and my family, and I go into great detail on that battle, among other things. But to answer your question, yes, I met Mr. Magic, but years later, and he is an icon of hip hop radio. Robbie the Danger, Uncle Kenny, what up? What up? Let's see. Don Dallas TV, what's good, bro? I haven't seen you in a while. Checking in from Texas. Wow. 73 Trinity, what's good? Garden Fluck, what's good? Haven't seen you in a while. Having some people in here that we haven't seen in a while. And for those that we're waiting on Pete Rock to check in, we're waiting for Pete Rock to check in. He is not in the chat as of yet. So Pete must be having some technical difficulties. I just spoke to Pete about 20 minutes ago, and everything was all good, but something must have happened. So I hope Pete is okay. I just texted him just now again. Let me check. And I have not seen anything. No, I have no response from Pete. So I hope Pete is okay, y'all. Let me scroll down a little bit. Garvin Flux says the two Pete Rock and CL Smooth albums are classics, absolute classics. I really wanted to get into that with Pete when he gets on. And the EP all sold out. Will Till 11. Thank you so much for your contribution to the channel. I really appreciate it. He says, Kenny, what was that you laughing while singing, shouting, go Brooklyn at the end of We in There? Yes, I was. And the reason that I was laughing, we just went in there and I can't remember who went first, but I just started yelling, go Brooklyn, because I am born and raised in Brooklyn. I represent the BK. And my brother Chris, who was born in Brooklyn as well, but he represents the Bronx. That's a whole deep story. Get the book. The link is in the description below. So him and Willie D from BDP, rest in peace, they started shouting, Bronx, Bronx. So I started saying, go Brooklyn. And then KRS-One's wife, she wasn't his wife then, but future wife, started yelling Queens because she was from Queens. Shout out to Simone. And that really made me laugh because she came out of nowhere. She was in the studio and she started yelling Queens, and it was hilarious. So to answer your question, yes, that was me laughing on the end of We In There. I never really liked to talk on records. Every time you guys have ever heard me on a record, that was Chris literally forcing me, like, yo, go in the studio, say this. I want you to say this or say that. I never really liked to speak on a record. There's only one part on the Sex and Violence album when I was giving shout outs on the end of one of the songs. I can't remember which song it was. I gave shout outs to some of the groups that we were cool with. I did that on my own. I wanted to shout out some people that shouted out BDP in 92. Outside of that, I never wanted to talk on records at all, but because of Chris, I spoke on a whole bunch of records. It is 8:19, and we are still waiting for Pete Rock to check in. He has not responded back to me on the text. And I hope everything is okay with Pete at this point. We're still going to move on. And when he comes in on the chat, I will see him and we will bring him in live. This is live, y'all. So whatever happens, just happens. Corey Flesh says, I wanted cool DJ Red Alert tonight, but I'm happy with Pete Rock. I'd be happy with Pete Rock right now, too. Yeah, I would love to get cool DJ Red Alert on this channel. He is one of my heroes. Ladies and gentlemen, hold on. We were waiting on. We're jumping right in, y'all. Woo! My man Pete. Yes, we were getting worried.
Nah, for what? We good.
You were getting worried because I jumped in at 8 o'clock, so I was like, "Uh-oh, Pete's not here." Ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, I had to download the StreamYard app thing.
Oh, okay. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. I don't have StreamYard.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce my man from We Go Way Back. Pete Rock, thank you so much for coming on the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We got so much to talk about in so little time, so we're going to jump right in.
Okay.
I brought you, the reason I wanted to talk to you is for a specific subject that we talked about, but I want to get a little bit of your background first, and then as we get into it, let's just jump into like your early years, like right before, I guess. First of all, were you a DJ first or a producer?
DJ.
You were a DJ first.
Yes, definitely. From high school all the way, from actually 7 years old, from my cousin Floyd, who taught me how to DJ that young, so that's his brother.
How did you get to DJ on the Marley Marl show on WBLS? At that time was one of the biggest shows in the country.
Yeah, that was
Go ahead.
No, that was through Heavy D. He was working with Marley Marl at the time. And doing a lot of stuff with Biz and everything. So that's how that happened.
What year was that you started?
That could be like 87. Yeah.
87. So Marley really hadn't been on, because I'm talking Marley was on 85, 86, 87. What made him just hand the reins over to you like that?
Well, I mean, he gave me a tryout, and I guess
you had to try out.
Yeah, so I guess he liked what he heard, and gave me a shot, man. Shout out to Marley Marl.
He gave you a gigantic shot. Those of you that's not from New York, there were two big radio shows in New York at the time. 98.7 Kiss FM had DJ Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out, and down the dial on WBLS, it was Mr. Magic and Marley Marl, and both of those shows were competing shows and competing MCs. We all here know the BDP Juice Crew story. We've been through that a million times on this channel, so we're going to jump past that.
Okay.
At what point did you start producing?
Probably like right before Hev's, like after Hev's first album, Living Large, I started like, producing and stuff like that. I was always messing around with the drum machines.
Which one?
The SB12 first. And then once I got to know the SB 1200, I used to bring that joint up to BLS with Marley and do remixes with my beat with acapellas on vinyl, playing my SP. So I used to do that. But I got
Wait.
into producing probably like when I was, around after the Living Large album with Heavy D.
How did you get access to an SB 1200? Because at that time they were like $2,000 or something like that. And this
Yeah.
is in like 87. $2,000 in 87 is like 6,000 right now.
Yeah. Well,
How did you get access?
That Eddie F had a lot of equipment.
Shout out to Eddie F.
Yeah, I had a lot of equipment hanging around his basement. And so I think he had maybe an extra one, and I took that one home and learned it. He showed me how to program it, and then I just kind of, took it home and mastered it.
So were you really under Eddie F's wing more or under Marley Marl's wing?
I have to say both. I was under whoever influenced me, whatever I was interested in, even Teddy Riley on the R&B tip,
Right.
But definitely I've gotten introduced to a lot of different people because of Heavy D and Eddie F. So Heavy D and the
Are you
boys.
related to Heavy D?
Yes.
Right. Heavy D is your cousin.
Yes.
Okay.
And so,
Good.
we're family, and then, just like with the music and everything, that all just came about when I started working with him and co-producing stuff. And, my ideas in the beginning were just pause button beats, and we would just, Eddie F would help me put it together, in the studio.
What were the first so who was the first artist that you started working with in the studio, like you guys were creating actual records?
I'm gonna have to say Groove Beat Chill was one of the first groups ever.
Groove Beat Chill. That's a name. Whoa. Group shout out to Groove Beat Chill. That's my man.
Shout out to Groove Beat Chill, exactly. And that was one of the first things I was working on as a youngin', 16 years old.
Were you getting credit for these productions or were you just behind the scenes?
Yeah, I was getting credit because I was, with a production team, with Eddie F's production team.
Okay. Oh, so you were under Eddie F's production team, so he made sure that all your business was correct.
Right. And I got the credit that I got the credit for the music that I did. You know what I'm saying?
Now, how did you move from that? So you're doing remix, you're doing beats, you're on the Marley Marl gigantic show on BLS. How did you transition into working on your own music? Well, I guess you met CL Smooth. Is that somewhere in that mix?
I was in high school when I met CL, but I was always kind of playing with the drum machines, like you know what I'm saying, and trying to learn how to make beats. And I was always at it because I was having fun working with the drum machines and creating. So I was always at it. So when I made a couple of beats I thought that had potential, in the hood there's a lot of people who rap. So what I'm saying, when I in high school I met CL through a couple of homies, and we got together one day and started working, and got to know each other.
Who shopped it? How did you get that to the attention of Electra? That was your first deal, Electra?
Yeah. And that was a whole Eddie F thing.
Once again, Eddie F.
Yeah, he shopped our deal to a couple of labels, Def Jam and a couple other labels, and actually Electra was the last choice that we made, and they liked what they heard and signed us.
Now this is when you guys dropped the All Sold Out EP.
Yes.
How much on your demo that you were passing around to record companies? How much of the All Sold Out EP did people pass on? Actually, is the question.
No, none of the stuff that we did in the basement became like only one song. Maybe Good Life was the only one. That's on the EP, but nothing else outside the Good Life. And then once we got in the studio, we just started, making newer stuff.
I remember I met you. I met you in '91.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember specifically how I met you. It was the release party for your EP, All Sold Out.
Mm-hmm.
And my jam on that EP was Mecca and the Soul Brother. And I believe this is before there was a video.
Yeah.
I believe, because it was like your album, this was like the release party.
Yeah.
And I remember I came there and I saw you walking through the crowd about to perform, and I stopped you and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Kenny Parker. I'm with BDP, and I really like Mecca and the Soul Brother." And you were mad humble and cool. You was like, "Yo, thank you very much." You was mad cool. And from that point on, it was all good.
I was tripping off the fact that you was, you and KRS was brothers. I didn't realize it, and then I seen the resemblance.
Oh, wow. So when I walked up to you, you was like, "Oh, okay."
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
that's hilarious. That's
no mistake right there. Yeah. Yeah.
I remember that clearly. So, so you dropped that. What made you decide to start rapping on these songs?
I don't know. Grand Poobah.
I always throw Poobah in the mix.
Yeah, I always say this. He wrote a couple of my first songs, and that was, because I didn't take the rap thing serious back then. I was just more into the music and the beats. And then, I guess he liked the sound of my voice and said, "Yo, you should try doing this." And then he wrote something, and then I spit it.
Is this, you talking about the Creator?
Yeah, and then Soul Brother #1.
I remember the Creator was was that the record that took you guys over the top, like when the Creator?
Nah, I think Reminisce was the record.
Oh no, Reminisce was big, but but we were all in hip hop. We were aware of you though. Like when Reminisce came out, to me, we had already like knew who you were.
As far as a club banger,
right?
Yeah, the Creator was that joint, because it's an energy beat. It's like you dance. You got to dance.
That record was
do all the dances from the '90s to that beat.
Absolutely, I used to be in the clubs heavy back in those days. We always be in the party. So I remember those records coming on. So you're saying that you played your music and Poobah heard the Creator and was like, "Yo, I got a song. You should say this," and you just said it, and boom, it was a hit.
Yep.
Dope. And then, so why did you guys drop an EP and not an album off the top?
We wanted to test the waters to see how people responded to us. And
so you dropped the EP, it worked.
We just did a 6-song EP, and it did arouse the question of who are these guys? Who are they? And then boom, we dropped Mecca and the Soul Brother after that, and then this is who we are.
And then we've had this debate on this channel. We had a debate on what was the best bass lines ever in hip hop, what were the best drums, I believe, and then we got to what were the best horns ever. And on this channel, it's pretty much unanimous that Reminisce is the greatest horn. Why don't I call it sample? I'm gonna call it sample. It's the way you freaked it is even more than a sample to me, but I'm gonna call it a sample. We've come on this channel to agree that that's the greatest horn riff in hip hop. And there's been some great. I mean, the dude had some great suggestions on here, but I gotta say, because that record didn't even really have a hook. Like the
horn was the hook.
And then the horns just set the whole mood.
The horn was the hook. Yeah, the horn was the hook. And that's why we was like, because the horn was so incredible, we was just like, we don't need to say nothing. We just let that horn, the horn mesmerized everyone. And so they're like, yo, just let that rock.
So you had the beat first and then CL wrote to it, or he had a song and you felt like...
Yeah, he had a song that he wrote these lyrics and I had this beat, and then I gave him the beat, and all he did was rearrange the lyrics. You know, maybe took some things out and added some things, and then there you have it.
That was one of the biggest records of 1992 to me. I would say unanimous, but I'm going to say to me, and I think one of the greatest tracks of all time. I got to say, Pete.
Thank you.
That you hear. Did you know that was going to go?
After we mixed it and listened back to it, and you know, emotions started, you know, arousing us, and everyone was crying in the studio, and that's when I knew, you know, this is gonna move people.
Shout out to Trouble T. Roy too.
Word up! Shout out to Troy Dixon and his whole family.
Yeah, he was mad cool. I met him at the studio when they were recording Self Destruction.
Yeah,
he was there with Heavy D, and D.O. was there.
Yeah,
shout out to D.O. They all were there, and I met Trouble T. Roy. He was instantly cool.
Yeah.
So shout out to him.
Yes.
And let me go back a little bit, because at this time, now around this time, producers were really working with their own crews mostly. There weren't a lot of people that were venturing out. Like Marley Marl was doing a lot of production, but it was mostly Juice Crew production. You had like Herbie was doing his crew.
Yeah.
Marley, a couple of people. And then I think when Marley did LL Cool J, I'm Gonna Knock You Out, that album, that was like a really eye-opener. Like, wow, Marley is stretching out and doing like LL.
Yes.
But at that time, producers didn't really venture out, in my opinion, until you. I remember the first time I heard the term super producer. Now, we've had some guys who I would technically consider super producers in the past, like Larry Smith.
Yes.
Larry Smith doesn't even get mentioned enough. I'm not going to talk about it right now, but he doesn't even get mentioned enough for his incredibleness.
Well, that's where I get all my inspiration from, those guys right there, who you naming. You know what
Larry
I'm saying?
Smith, Rick Rubin, shout out to him, these guys, Marley. I consider them super producers, but that tag, like people didn't even really look at the back of albums like that in the 80s.
And Howie T too, bro.
Shout out to Hitman Howie T, another person that doesn't get mentioned that much. He's from Brooklyn too, I do believe. Shout out to him, Special Ed, Chubb Rock, the whole crew. Yes, he was another super dope. Were you listening to all of these people were influencing you at the time?
Of course. Of course.
So when you start, how did you branch out to start doing remixes? Because I remember like the Shut 'Em Down remix to me. Now, when did that drop? Did that drop before or after? That was after your album dropped?
Well, the remixes started from, you know, Untouchables work I was doing with them. And we were doing like R&B remixes, you know, together. Johnny Gill, Basic Black, a couple other joints, Alexander O'Neal.
I didn't even realize you were doing R&B at that time.
Yeah, and so from that came the hip hop remixes, and you know.
How did they approach you? Like, back then, how did somebody approach you? Because, like I said, it was not a thing. Like remixes weren't even really like a thing. There was like a few here and there, but somebody remixing a song with a completely different track was not a thing. It was done, but it wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Well,
how were they approaching you? Were they coming to your team or?
Yeah, like coming to Untouchables and, you know, doing it through them. You know what I'm saying? I guess it came from like the work I was doing that, you know, maybe they liked the sound of my production and wanted to, you know, work with Pete Rock.
I've heard you say that you did the Public Enemy Shut 'Em Down remix, one of the great remixes of all time. People just talking about in the comments. In 15 minutes.
Maybe less than that, I think.
Come on, Pete, you gotta tell. So How you get the call from Chuck? Like, what is what's how does this go?
No, from Def Jam. Everything was
Okay,
going through the label.
right.
So once I got the job, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it was go time. I just start working on the track, an hour before I had to be there. And came up with a bass, came up with a basic drums, and then seen a few records laying around and saw this one album sitting there and grabbed it and used it with the drums that I made, and it sounded funky. And I was like, okay. And I had that bass beat, and then started playing with other records and trying to, because everything that I learned at that time, now I learned that I could sample in key. You know what I'm saying? So I started finding little samples and using the pitch and doubling it so I could get like the every little tick tone of, not missing the actual key of the beat. And that's and then put that together.
When you produce, do you start with do you start with the drums and build around that, or do you start with the horns and look for something to go with that, or it varies?
Well, it varies, but with that remix, I started with the drums, and then everything else kind of fell into place after you get some good drums going.
And you had the vocals, or Chuck came in and did vocals?
No, that's his original vocals.
That's the original vocals. You just stripped it down and put that on there. So you were doing this
anything like that. I just took it and used it on my beat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
After that, in my opinion, in my recollection, after that, it was like you were the remix guy.
After that. I guess so, because I was, doing a lot of them, like a lot. I remember doing like 2 or 3 songs at one time in the studio.
Like I was gonna say, did you turn down any remixes, or you was taking all work coming?
I was taking a lot of stuff coming, but I can't recall ever turning down any remix unless I couldn't really do, what was required. I didn't know what kind of remix, or I would just do what I felt like doing.
I always wanted to ask you this too. Most people have like skits in their album. On your album, Making a Soul Brother, you used samples as skits.
Yeah.
And I always felt like it was almost like he was saying, like, I have so many beats that I'm just gonna throw beats in the middle here. Like, I'm not even gonna, nobody's gonna rap on them.
A lot of ideas. So I was like, that was just like a thing. I don't know. I don't even know how. I just start doing that. I think, inspiration from other hip hop, records I was listening to. I thought that sounded pretty cool to do,
He was like, let me just throw this in here right now. Because it really didn't have any rhyme or reason. It's just like even the beat that comes on before Reminisce is just a track. It gives you no inkling that Reminisce is about to happen. It's just like, you're like, okay, cool. And then this, then like, yo.
Yeah. That's how we loved that. We loved that. That when it came on that strong, when we first mixed it and listened down to it, the emotions opened up on us.
So when you make tracks, you're looking for emotion?
I mean, I think what it was that I was depressed, and because my homie passed away, and that when I listened to the sample, it was kind of sentimental jazz record, and heard the voices and everything, and then just made me emotional while I was listening to it. So I guess it was already in the song, if you ask me, you know what I'm saying? And I just put my Pete Rock on it, and that's what it is. Like, the #1 sentimental hip hop record.
Ever.
Say that.
Absolutely. After you came, you pretty much brought the horns in the 90s as we knew that sound. To me, these are my opinions.
Yeah.
And a lot of people started to copy your sound, incorporating a lot of horns that weren't that sound wasn't there the year before.
Well, it kind of was. It kind of was. 45 King did it a lot.
Well, okay, wait, that's because he's another
Yeah.
incredible.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace to him.
Yeah,
Another
45
incredible.
King did it a lot. Marley did it.
But it didn't sound. They did it, but somehow the way you did it.
I did it on a jazz angle. You understand what I'm saying? Like I did it like I was in a jazz band.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? And kind of use the horns like that, like how jazz men would do it.
That is very innovative, and I think it changed the game production-wise.
Yes.
Let me rewind back a little bit because this is really what I wanted to talk to you about when you came here. Okay. We were having this debate. Well, there's two debates.
Okay.
Let's start with the first one. We were having this debate last week. Somebody brought up beat makers versus producers. And my argument was that a lot of guys who call themselves producer invented this term beat maker to almost diminish the guys who be digging. And I don't think people understand what it really takes, the amount of your life that centers around digging for records, digging for breaks. And once again, you're one of the most legendary diggers in hip hop history. I got funny stories I've heard about you, like going to the record conventions. There used to be record conventions in New York City, y'all. And I forgot, Roosevelt Hotel, was it?
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought I was doing something getting there at 11 o'clock. I learned that I was bugging. Right, I was bugging. I thought I was doing something getting there early, 11. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But that's a place where a lot of people went. There was a lot of stores in New York City where people were shopping. Yeah. And the story goes, tell me if this is true. The story goes that you used to come to the record conventions and people there used to be like a crowd literally following you around. And if you picked up a record and you looked at it for more than like 30 seconds, even if you put it back, dudes would run and buy that record, or the price of that record. The record might be $2. But if you looked at it longer than like 30 seconds, the record is $30 for like the next dude.
I didn't, that kind of behavior just kind of made me switch it up a little bit and start, thinking, of little tricky tactics like getting a hotel room in the spot the night before, and just when the joint opens, you just walk downstairs and you just go for broke.
So you were in the hotel the night before, and so they must have opened what, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock?
7 a.m.
7. See, look at me, 7, and you guys are already in there killing them. Yeah. So by the time I got there at 11 o'clock, I'm like, okay, yeah.
I was going by 11.
Y'all already raped the whole place.
I was going by 11 o'clock for sure.
All right, talk to me about digging, if you can, the art of digging, because I think it's an art.
Yeah.
What were you looking at? Let's start like a day for you. And you said, I'm going to go digging. I'm going digging today. Like, how does that day go for you?
You just wake up with records on your mind, for
specific records that you're looking for? No,
just the fun of doing it and finding gems that I never seen before, stuff that I don't even know about, that that maybe I have a list of records, but then you end up finding some more other shit you ain't never seen or heard. So that's the fun part of digging for me, is just finding the stuff that I never knew existed.
What's the most you ever paid for a record?
Probably like $250, $200, $300.
And this is back in the day, or this is recently? Yeah. So that was very expensive.
In the convention, I bought a $300 album.
Who else did you used to see? I'm just curious. At 7 a.m, who else did you used to see in there?
Everybody.
Except me.
Yep, everybody. Thought I might have saw you in there before, but everyone.
Yeah, but by the time it's not about me, but I'm just saying, by the time I got in there, I actually thought I was doing something, but I wasn't. But yeah,
everyone. I can't even tell you. It's everybody, everyone, everybody. and all the producers that I know, and even DJs, everyone.
These record conventions, y'all had 20, 30 tables, maybe even more
Yep.
of records. People used to come in there with portable record players.
Yep.
Little portable record players, and they were playing records. It was a real, and there was like people from like other countries,
Yep.
Asian dudes,
Yep.
people from all over. It was a real serious, but digging was like a real serious thing. Like people were all over the place. And the reason I bring this up is because the beat maker term has been connected with the digger.
Yeah.
And somehow that's been diminished to say, like, you're not as important as the producer.
No. When they say things like that, it's because if another producer that doesn't sample saying this kind of thing, it's because he doesn't know how to do what we do. It's not easy for them to do what we do, because what we do is completely change a record around. Even if you hear familiarity in the record, the amazement of the turnaround is just like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And so they can't do that. Even today when I'm listening to beat makers, the young ones, they just really looping stuff. They just, there ain't nothing to hit record on the sample button and just loop something. You know what I'm saying? But then we're like scientists, bro. We're actually breaking down the record to the molecule, bro.
I mean, even the record you did with Redman, How to Roll a Blunt, which was a pretty common sample. I don't know if you cleared it. I'm not gonna say I don't know if it's cleared, but the way you freaked it with the drums and the way it made it special, even though that was already like a classic record that they played in the parties.
Yeah.
I think this distinction between producer and beat maker, I feel like it came like in the mid 90s. Certain people were saying, like, the argument that I was having, like in R&B, they have a different definition of producer. Like Quincy Jones could do Thriller and never actually played any instruments, even though he's a world-class musician. But he didn't actually play instruments, as I understand it. He organized the people that he wanted. He picked songs, this and that. But hip hop's definition to me is a little bit different, because if somebody said who produced this beat, means who actually banged out on the machine and created this work.
That producer term of beat maker, producer, jokes, bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's jokes, man. And because everyone that's worked with me knows that I am a producer. And I got an album coming out with Common. So
we're gonna
working in the physical with him is when we're working. If he's rhyming and I say, I hit it like this, I say this, I think this is dope. Or he may say, yo, Pete, scratch this in there, or scratch that in there, because he's sharp on lyrics. He remembers lyrics. So he's like, yo, scratch this in, scratch that in. And that's what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Some producers feel that if I pick the beat, then I produced it. Like if Pete Rock comes in here and plays me 10 beats, if I pick number 7, I'm the producer of this.
Explain how are you the producer if someone else made the beat?
Pete, that's
reverse psychology and tricks that they play, to make you believe something that's a total lie. Come on, man.
The discussion that we've had on this channel is that a lot of what people think in hip hop is not what it appears.
Nope.
And a lot of the people that you think are dope, some are, but that some people are not as dope as you think they are. And that's been my whole theme. We've been talking about this for like a year. And this leads me into my next point, and I'm so glad to hear about. with this Drake controversy, a lot of people have been talking about ghost writers as a big controversy. But I would argue that ghost production in hip hop over the years is more rampant than ghost writing.
Oh,
The
of course.
amount of people who have taken people's beats and taken credit for people's stuff
Yep.
since day one
Yep.
is way worse than people who've taken other people's lyrics.
Them YouTube beats, you know, and the young cats that put their beats on YouTube, and then some big artist snatches it, and then they get no credit, no nothing. You think that big artist is trying to find out who made the beat? They just, you know, they think about money, so they hear a beat that they like, that they think they're gonna make something dope off, and that's it. You know, that's whack to me, man. I mean, cats got to protect themselves, bro.
I've heard, known people that have worked with you and stuff, and I've come to the understanding that everything that we've seen your name on, you have created.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's big, because a lot of people can't really say that. My argument is there's a lot of people who people think are creating that's not really creating, and they're taking people's music and ideas and
that's wrong. That ain't right.
Has that ever happened to you? Maybe in your younger days? You said you was under Eddie F, so you had some
no, not really. I got the credit I deserved under Eddie F. You know, I was, that's when I was, doing all that, the remixes and The World Is Yours and all that other stuff. I was getting the proper credit, as far as my name is concerned. But it's happened to me. Yeah, it's happened to me maybe a few times. I never sweated it though, because I know my power. So you understand?
Now that you bring that up, let's talk about The World Is Yours real quick. Another unbelievable classic on an unbelievable classic record. I know you've had some controversy with that song. I'm gonna touch on that if you want to in a second.
No, I'm good on that. We cool. It's just, the music business, bro. Things happen. Right. It's over with now. So I'm cool.
You guys are good.
Yeah, we cool.
Excellent. Why is it that you only did one song on that album?
You gotta ask Nas that.
Did you play more than one beat?
Yeah, I think so. But even if it's just one beat, it's cool, because it's about what moves you. You know what I'm saying? And, it ain't just about just taking a beat because I make a dope beat. It's like, it's whatever. I think with that situation, it was like, this beat really moves me, and that's why it got done.
Was that the beat that you like, of the beat, if you recall, of the beats that you played, was that the beat that you think should have been the beat, or it didn't really matter, whatever you like?
Yeah, I like that beat.
No, I love that beat. I'm just, every once in a while you'll play some, this has been my experience, you'll play some people some tracks and they'll be like, that's the one that I like. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wait, this really, to me, is the one over here. But if you like this one, we'll go in that direction.
Yeah.
The House of Pain remix, Jump Around.
Yeah.
You completely changed the whole vibe of that song. Another great remix that people love.
Yeah, I like the original version, but I just
love the original.
Yeah, but I just added something different, like on some hip hop, up tempo, funky, jazz, horns, fly shit.
How did it come for you to remix the Juicy Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. Juicy? Is that you that did the remix, if I recall?
Yeah, I did the remix to that. It was nothing but like me just adding some drums to it. That's all.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, you always do remixes and you completely change the track, but this one was just more like you just beefed up the original almost.
Yeah, that's it. Just put some drums in there, and that was that. But Big wanted, when he came to my house, he wanted the interlude beats. You know, so he was picking those. Like, yo, I want to rap to this and this and this. He picked like 3 or 4. You know.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
Is there anybody that you wanted to work with that you didn't get to work with? Like
Biggie, you know, like fully, like properly, Biggie, LL, you know, maybe a few others.
that Biggie LL, those are heavy. Well, when
Yeah.
Marley was working on LL, and
Mm-hmm.
when did you leave BLS?
Probably in like 91. Yeah, like
And I
that.
know you was doing Future Flavors, not Future Flavors. What was it called on Hot 97?
Future Flavors.
Oh, it was Future. Okay, it was Future Flavors.
Your bro had that first. It
I was
was
going to say many people don't know Chris had Future Flavors for like 2 weeks.
Yep,
Something
KRS-ONE
like
was
that. He was
Future
doing
Flavors.
Future Flavors, and then I don't know what happened. I think we were going on tour or something,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Yo, I'm out."
Yep.
You know, he's
And
one of the people that he can't be in one place too long.
yep.
And
And then we took over. Yep.
and when he got that gig at Hot 97, I remember saying like, Chris is gonna be here every week.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was thinking to myself, that doesn't sound like him, but let's see how this goes. And it went like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
3 weeks, and he was going. I think Marley took it after.
Yeah.
And then you inherited it from Marley?
No, I didn't. I got hired, you know, and he put me on. He put me down. And that was, you know, it was Kevy Kev first, and then it was me. And then it was Clark Kent. You know?
What made you go back to radio?
I mean, shit, I've been doing it with him since I was 14.
So it was just a natural progression, just like, yo.
We just, like, why not? You know what I'm saying? I like doing radio.
You know, back in those days, getting all those promos, man. Records used to cost so much money, man. When I found out that you could get promos from record companies, that was like an eye opener. And I want to shout out Chuck Chill Out because he put me on that. I remember I went up to Sony. I was trying to get like one Nas record. And I remember I was up there. Chuck Chill Out came in there. And he was like, he just went right up to the shelf and just started taking handfuls of records. Like, I'll take some of these and some of these and some of these. I was like, yo, he was like an animal in there. Now, once I learned that you could get promos, I was like, what?
Yeah,
I was late to the game, spending all my money on records.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's jump up a little bit. I love this conversation, Pete. For those of you that don't know, we have Pete Rock. This is the DJ Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm here with my man and legendary, I would say iconic producer,
Yes, sir.
Pete Rock in the building.
Yep.
How did you approach the second CL Smooth album, Pete Rock and CL Smooth album, after the huge success of the first one? Was there any pressure? Did you feel like, yo, we gotta?
I don't even remember, man. It's just, you know, we got a little older and just did something different. You know what I'm saying? Like Mac and the Soul Brother was more like our younger adrenaline. Now this was like, all right, now we're still on a major label, and major labels always want a radio friendly song.
Right.
So
especially at that time, things were starting to transition.
Yeah. So we did a couple of records, or maybe one or two, and and just did something else. You know what I'm saying? But the sample probably changed. It's probably like the changing of the choice of samples I was using for that album.
Yeah. So in 90, I'm thinking in 96, you started putting out music under your name, Pete Rock Presents, if I recall. This is off the top of my head, y'all. I don't have any notes in front of me. I'm just remembering as a DJ and as a fan of your music. I remember you did something with Inspector Deck that I remember I used to love. I think it was
True Master.
That was ridiculous. Shout out to the Woo. You did something with you did so many records. I mean, you did a Lost Boys joint that I used to like. I think you did something with Mr. Cheeks. You were still doing a lot of production back then. What made you put out the Peach Instrumentals later on?
I don't know, man. Just a bunch of beats I had that I wanted to always do something like, start an instrumental series, and I just, do things that people not thinking about doing, and that's how it happens.
All right, let's jump up a little ahead. You're working now with Common. You mentioned that you're working with Common.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? First of all, I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah,
I
bro.
haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah,
Common is one of the elite lyricists of all time, in my opinion.
yes, sir.
How did this come about?
Just called each other one day. It was. I don't remember if he called me or I spoke to him. Or I called him first, but we got on the phone with each other and started talking about music and how he had this idea and wanted to do an album, with me, to dedicating it to, the 90s, because that was one of the greatest, to me. 80s and the 90s were the two greatest eras in hip hop
I
ever.
agree.
Period.
I agree.
Hands down. 70s too, a little, late, mid
Mhm.
is up, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And all of that. So before, what's going on today, this is new music. This is just new music with that, still with a 90s feel, but it's not fully, all the way 90s. It's just the vibe of the 90s. But the music is new, but it's just real,
Are you guys done?
Yeah, the album coming out in July.
Album Pete Rock and Common. What is it called?
Well, we can't reveal the title yet, even though I made
Okay.
it.
Pete Rock and Common album coming in July. We got a time. I don't know if you have much time. I don't know how much time you got. We usually do like an hour on this channel. We just talk.
I don't have much time.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I'm going to let you. Thank you so much, Pete, for coming on. We have a million and one questions on
we do it. We do part 2, bro. That's all.
Pete, that would be fantastic. Anytime, you are so welcome to come on the show and talk. I actually loved this conversation. You answered a lot of questions for me.
That's what's up.
If there's anything else you want to throw out there to the people before you get out,
just look out for the new stuff coming. Got the first single coming out May 22nd, so look out for that.
Around the corner.
Yep.
All right, I am going to sign off. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the DJ Kenny Parker Show. My man Pete Rock is on the check-in. Thank you so much, Pete. We love you here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you all. Me and Pete, like I said, we go back over 30 years.
You already know.
We do this every Tuesday, y'all, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to get into these comments. I haven't got a chance to check out any of the comments because we've been it's like we you just been talking by ourselves, but it's all good.
It's all good. I was getting into it, but I just realized I had something to do with my son.
And your time, we love your time here. Thank you so much. We're going to end this stream. Peace, y'all. I'm going to read some of the comments. If you guys got any comments and things to say, I'm going to check them out. Thank you so much, Pete, and we are checking out.
Thank you, Kay. You already know.
Love always, brother.
You already know.